Here we go. It is a Monday, a beautiful Monday on the eve of another big day. It's The Herd live in Los Angeles. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Fox Sports Radio, iHeartRadio, and right here in FS1. It is nice to have you in. Hope you had a great holiday weekend, a great Halloween weekend. It's not my favorite. Didn't see a lot of kids in my neighborhood. I didn't even see the adults with cocktails. That's usually what you see in Manhattan Beach. I didn't see anybody. My dogs, that was about it. Good to have you enjoy. How are you?
I'm great. A lot of people did like in-home trick-or-treating.
We're all
you just go to a different room and get candy. Yeah. I don't have kids, but I have lots of nieces and nephews, and really if you just get the candy.
That's it.
It seems to be the most important part of that. So I'm glad everyone had a good weekend.
Yeah. From 1 hour from now, Colin right, Colin wrong. So listen, it's not... You win a lot of games in the NFL. You can lose a lot of games. And right now, we know who can play. 7, 8, 9, 10 good teams and 7, 8, 9 junk, right? Some teams in the middle. It's sort of like sometimes how you win and how you lose. Here's the really bad news for Baltimore and the really great news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers should have lost that game. That game went the exact way Baltimore wanted it to go. You couldn't stop the running game. They forced turnovers. Pittsburgh couldn't move the ball. Pittsburgh couldn't run the ball. Everything. If you looked at the box score without the quarterbacks, you'd be like, oh, my Baltimore rolled them. The great news for Pittsburgh, you won that game. You won a game in which you were controlled. Time of possession, you had 2 turnovers, by the way. Baltimore ran for 265 yards. When's the last time they did that and lost? But they did. And they did because of Lamar Jackson. He wasn't very good. And there were a lot of criticisms of Lamar Jackson coming out of college. And by the way, every quarterback out of college gets criticized. I mean, I remember when people were on Andrew Luck. I don't know about his arm. I was like, folks, this is about as good as a college quarterback is. Trevor Lawrence, you're starting to hear criticisms. But Lamar, people got very sensitive. And the criticisms were fair. He's an unbelievable athlete. But we know in NFL history, you got to be able to throw the ball effectively and accurately. He's struggling. We got tape. It's getting bad since week 1. He's not good. He completes 57% of his throws. That's bad. That's like in the NFL right now, everybody's around 64 to 68. Russell Wilson for a while was at 75. He's got a weird throwing motion. His accuracy is hot and cold. He is sometimes his touch is terrible, and everybody's got a book on him now. We're not saying he can't be an NFL quarterback. That's not the question. Of course he can. But the difference is Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray are hyper-athletic, but the athleticism complements 2 guys that are great throwers of the football. They throw a beautiful ball. With Lamar Jackson, his athleticism is starting now to kind of define who he is. You stop that, you stop him. So there are a lot of different ways. When he came into the league, and I was one of those who questioned it. I said, I think he's a bit of a project. I don't like his throwing motion. My takeaway was always, what's he going to be on third down? In college and high school, a quarterback, you just take off and run on third down. That works. In the NFL, at some point, you're going to have to sit in the pocket in third down. The coaching's way better. The athletes are way better. They're going to make you throw on third down. You don't have to in college. You don't have to in high school. You can just take off. And that was always, and I remember getting on Twitter and people, what are you saying? And I'm saying, I don't know. I watched him play in college. He ran for 200 yards in some games. That's not going to work in the NFL. He's not a great thrower of the football yet. We just have to recalibrate things, I think, on Lamar Jackson. Baltimore's still good. He's still good. But the whole Russell Wilson category, Mahomes category, Aaron Rodgers category, and some of these new young stars. This morning, if you ask me, next 10 years, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, I take Burrow. I'm recalibrating. I'm recalibrating how I think of Joe Burrow playing with nothing, absolutely nothing, and tearing apart Tennessee's defense. And I'm recalibrating how I look at the Ravens, very good football team, and how I look at Lamar Jackson. He's struggling. 9 TDs, 4 picks since week 1. He beat Cleveland. We know what Cleveland is. So Mike Tomlin, I think, really touched on something with Lamar Jackson. When he came into this league, everybody fears new in the NFL. First of all, new catches everybody off guard. The Wildcat worked. Snapping a ball to a running back worked for a year. Even the Patriots tried it. So new can work in this league. And I think Lamar Jackson initially kind of scared people. It's like I'm not sure if we have the linebackers that can keep up with him. I'm not sure there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear. But Mike Tomlin, I think, touched on something after the win, a game in which Pittsburgh should not have won, on Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Mike, you don't expect Lamar Jackson make those kind of interceptions? How big was that to change the momentum?
We got respect for him, but we don't fear him. And so, we're not surprised by anything that transpires.
And I think that is today how I view Lamar Jackson and how the league views him. You got to respect him. He can do stuff other guys can't. But the fear part of it is like, no. There's a way now. Drop it into coverage. Make him make throws up the sideline. Make him show some touch. Make him be an accurate thrower of the football. And I think there's now a way to make things uncomfortable for him. And he now has to recalibrate himself, get through this. A lot of young guys don't. A lot of quarterbacks, they're good. You throw up a wall, and they can never break through it. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Patrick Mahomes. Everybody was like, oh, play a zone against him. Play zone against Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that worked for about 2 weeks, and that doesn't work anymore. And for Russell Wilson, for a long time, it was like, hey, you get a spy on Russell Wilson. You just put a spy on Russell and follow him around the field. And that worked for about 3 games, and now it doesn't work anymore. So, Lamar, let's recalibrate. Let's realize that the league has kind of figured out some of his deficiencies. Can he break through it? We'll watch. Still a good team, still a good quarterback. But today, I take Burrow over Lamar next 10 years if you ask me. All right, let's start with this. Secondly, with this. So I've watched every NFL team like you every weekend. I even sit through crappy Jag games. This is what I'm paid to do. Joy and I watch bad football all the time. There are 3 teams in the NFL I think that have separated. Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Tampa Bay tonight. There is a 4th team which I think could be better than all of them. And this is what's scary about Seattle. They are a personal foul call in Arizona from 7-0, and they should not be. They play in the toughest division in football. None of their running backs are healthy yesterday. They played a hyper-physical team. They have no pass rush, and they're missing their superstar safety, who eventually, I swear, for giving up all those picks, is going to be healthy. The narrative on Seattle so far, and it's fair, boy, Russell Wilson is carrying this franchise. Yep, he is. But if Jamal Adams comes back and just is what he is, the best safety in football, if Carlos Dunlap comes in next week and is what he is, an elite athlete defensive end, and if Chris Carson, a top 10 running back, is healthy, I think I've seen the best of Pittsburgh. I've seen the best of Kansas City. I've seen the best of Tampa. I don't think I'm going to see wild, massive improvements. Seattle should not be 6-1. They don't have yesterday they're running Miami Hurricane DJ Dallas, who played, by the way, pretty well. Played that rookie running backs, no pass rush, no Jamal Adams. And they are a penalty away from being unbeaten. I think the ceiling for Seattle is massive. We came into this season saying, let Russ cook. I think their offensive line's better than I thought. Some teams we know are good, Green Bay, but they've got an unfixable hole. They're not physical. Yesterday, once again, Minnesota said, we're going to run, try to stop us. Green Bay can't. Green Bay's got a hole they can't fix. They can't fix it at the trading deadline. But you can just run on this team. They're a finesse football team. I think Baltimore has a hole you can't fix at the trading deadline. They're a very average passing team, especially if they trail late. Yesterday, they led at half. They trail late. They don't have a lot of time. It's not what they do well. I look at Seattle, I'm like, they don't have Carlos Dunlap, who'll easily be their best defensive lineman. They don't have Jamal Adams, second best player, third best player on the team. They don't have any healthy running backs. They're on rookies. And yesterday, that game wasn't even that competitive against the best coach, I believe, young football coach in America, Kyle Shanahan, with a top 5 defense statistically and all sorts of playmakers. So I feel like I have seen the 3 best teams in the league. I kind of know what they are. Seattle is 4 with a chance to be better than all of them. And if you look at their schedule, what's scary for Seattle is, boy, they got some cupcakes. They got some teams that could be trading at the trading deadline coming up. They've got some teams that aren't very good, that could be resting people. Seattle has a shot going forward. Their toughest games are in division, but they got some games coming up. Seattle may end up being the number 1 seed. And if they become that, we know that half of the season, they didn't have Jamal Adams, Carlos Dunlap, and hit and miss on healthy running backs. Very good football team. All right, so the question of the day, of course, is what to make of Tua. What do we make of Tua? I'll have thoughts on that coming up, plus Colin right, Colin wrong, top of next hour. Do you suffer from an overly weighted plantar aspect, otherwise known as a lead foot? Do you suddenly break out with fierce, white-knuckled fits of enthusiasm randomly? Do goosebumps spontaneously appear for no reason? My friends, you could be a perfect fit for Mercedes-AMG. Meticulously tested, obsessively crafted for those who drive to feel alive. Mercedes-AMG, over 50 years of proven, track-tested research and development. Let's say you like their sedan, sort of the timeless elegance of a Mercedes sedan. You like the sportiness of their coupes, the ruggedness of their SUVs. They have all of these. They remain the leader of engineering performance. Stop just living. Live an inspired life on the pavement. Call your local authorized dealer at Mercedes-Benz, MBUSA.com, AMG. Mercedes-AMG means driving performance.